What's going on, guys? So I did a couple previous videos in this little mini series on my channel already. The first one was how to find good deals on a used car, and the second one was how to properly inspect a used car. Now if you haven't seen those videos, they'll both be linked in the description below, but today I'm here with the third video in this series, which is how to negotiate and how to get the best price for a used car. So of course, when you're going into buying a used car or even a new car, there's always going to be some sort of negotiation process. The seller wants X amount of dollars, but usually you can get them down lower, so there's always room for negotiation, except in some certain specific instances. So the negotiation process can be very difficult and hard to get right. So I'm going to try and give you guys a few tips that can help you to get the best price and hopefully save at least a couple $100 on your new car. So for this video today, I will be using this 2003 Saab 9.3 convertible, and I'll just kind of use it as a reference car because I'm going to be using the true market value of it and a few other things in this video, so we're going to have it here as a reference. So once you've gone on your test drive, you've done your inspection, you've asked all the questions you want to ask, you're ready to go ahead and start the negotiation process. So the number one thing that I think is very helpful and the seller can't really argue is the true market value of the car. Now if you don't know what that is, Kelley Blue Book is an excellent resource if you're ever buying a car. I highly suggest you use them. But they have a little feature that they call the true market value. And basically what it is you put, let's say that I'm buying this car right here. So I would put in 2003 Saab 9.3 convertible into their database or whatever. And what they do is they search every Saab 9.3 sale that they have and figure out what's the asking price, how much did they sell for, and based on all those numbers they'll give you what's called the true market value, or what the car is actually worth according to them. And I've found this to be extremely accurate. It's something that I like to use a lot whenever I'm looking at cars or whenever I'm helping someone else look for a car. So I told you guys about true market value a lot more in the first video in this series, so if you want to learn more about it, go check that video out once again. So for example, let's say that the seller for this car wants $3,000, and that sounds pretty good, right? You think that's a pretty good deal, but then you check out the true market value and you see, oh, Kelley Blue Book says for a private party this is worth between $1,900 and $2,600, and that is from a range of pretty much bad condition to perfect condition. And that's with this mileage too, so you'll have lower mileage cars that will obviously be worth more, higher mileage cars won't be worth as much. This car has about 128,000 miles on it, I believe, so that's what Kelley Blue Book says that this car is worth, somewhere between $1,900 and $2,600. So I would say, based on a non-biased opinion, that this car is in very good condition. There are no dents anywhere. The paint is immaculate, with the exception of a little bit of fading paint on the top of the little bumper lip, almost, I guess you could call it. The interior is very nice, so it's in very good condition. So in very good condition, the car is worth $2,350 according to Kelley Blue Book. Now let's say that the seller on this car wants something like, I don't know, $2,600 for this car. So you can pull out your true market value paper and you can say, this, and this is wrong with the car, and it's going to cost this, and this to repair. So you can use the repairs as well. So let's say this car has a check engine light, all right? Let's say that it has a check engine light, you read the code, and let's say it's going to need new ignition coils, or just something small. So another thing that you want to do, of course, is when you're reading the ad, if there are any problems, you want to look up how much these problems are going to cost to fix, and of course you use that in your negotiation process, saying, look, if I give you $2,000 for this car and it's worth $2,300, I'm going to have to spend $300 or $400 to get it back up into good condition where I can confidently daily drive it. You can use that against them and say, look, yes, this car is in good aesthetic shape, but there is a problem under the hood. Let's say it also needs new tires, the struts are bad, stuff like that. You can use that against them because those are repairs that are going to cost a good amount of money when you add them all up, and that's something that the seller might not have necessarily accounted for when they listed their car for sale. And let me just say that this current car has none of those problems. It's perfectly good. I'm just saying as an example, because usually when you encounter cheaper cars, there's usually at least something wrong with it, especially as they get older. So once you go ahead and make them an offer and you show them your Kelley Blue Book true market value to show them that, look, it's not worth as much as you're asking, and these are the repairs I'll need to make, etc., etc. So this is why my offer is a good, reasonable offer. Once you do that, you can go ahead and pull out something else that I think can be very helpful, especially if you're buying a car that's much more common. Like, let's say you're looking at a Toyota Corolla. What you can do is go on Craigslist, go on other sites that are private party sales places, and you can print out other ads of similar cars that are going for cheaper. So let's say in this case again, the seller wants $2,600 for this car, but I've found 3 other Saab 9.3 convertibles that are essentially same condition, same mileage, but let's say one of them only wants $2,000, one of them wants $2,100, one of them wants $2,400, and you can show those all and say, look, there's 3 other Saab 9.3 convertibles out there right in the same city as us, and they're all cheaper, and there's no reason why they are cheaper than yours. They're just as good, there's just as many problems or just as few problems. And then they can see, oh, well, it looks like this person has some other options, and I kind of want to get rid of the car, I need the cash, or, you know, I just want this thing out of my way, so I'll probably be more reasonable with them now, because they clearly have done their research. They know that, you know, there's other deals out there too, so they might not necessarily go with this one. They might pass on it and end up wasting my time, because there's better deals out there. So then of course when you make your offer, you're going to offer them less than what they're asking, because when people are selling a car, usually they'll say either or best offer, which means I want X amount of dollars for it, but if you offer me a little bit less, then we can definitely talk about that. Or they'll say X amount of dollars firm, which means that I will only take this amount of money for this car. But usually if you walk up, if this car was $2,600 firm, I go through, I show the owner all this, and I say, look, I can give you $2,300 cash right now. He might come back and say, well, can you do $2,400? And there, you already got $200 off. So 9 times out of 10, even if they say firm, unless it's already a smoking deal, you're going to be completely fine and be able to get at least $100 or so off just by asking. Because if you provide all that information that they can't really argue with because it's just straight up fact, then you're already in the position to pretty much kind of dictate the negotiation process. I don't want to say that, but you certainly have a lot of leverage over the seller at that point, and you can really start to use all this stuff against them and really build up your argument so that way you can get a better price for the car. And then another strategy that you can use in the negotiation process is through just straight up asking them, look, what's the least that you'll take for this car? So let's say that the negotiation process, maybe it's not turned out so well for you. Let's say that you shot them an offer at $2,200, which is a fair offer for a $2,600 car. Don't lowball them either. Please don't lowball people. Don't offer them like $1,200 because that's just rude, in all honesty. Just please don't like super lowball people. It's just, it never works, and it's just a waste of everyone's time. But let's say that the negotiation process isn't working so well for you. Let's say you offered them $2,200 and they said, no, I'm staying at $2,600. And at that point you can see, okay, well, they're pretty firm. So you can do one more thing before you decide to walk away, or if for some reason you really, really love the car and you don't mind paying a little bit extra, that's completely fine too. You don't always have to save hundreds of dollars when you buy something. But one more thing you can do if you're having a little bit of trouble in the negotiation process is you can just say, all right, well, what's the least that you'll take for this car? Because I know you have it listed for $2,600. I can give you $2,200 right now, but you're not really interested in taking that little. But would you be willing to go to $2,400 or something like that? And sometimes you don't even have to say $2,400. They'll just say like, oh, I could do $2,400, and then boom, you got $200 off, and they literally told you, I'll give you $200 off. So really, I just feel like being able to negotiate and getting an argument built up, you know, make sure that you have everything that you need in order to make a cohesive and strong argument to the seller. Because if you just go in and say, yeah, you know, I don't really think this car is worth that much, I don't really want to pay this much for it, they're going to be like, well, this person they just don't want to pay this much for the car. I mean, they're just trying to be lazy and cheap and save a little bit of money, but they're not making an argument. They're just kind of spewing garbage everywhere. So I'm not really going to mess with them. They're going to buy the car for this much, or I'm not going to sell it to them. When you at least sound intelligent and make a strong argument, I feel like it really helps in the negotiation process. I was able to do that with both of the cars I bought. My dad was able to do that with this car, which by the way he bought for $500, and it needed about $200 or $300 in parts. It had to be towed home, but now he's had it for what, I think 3, 4, 5 months now, and it's been perfect daily driver for him. So he's probably put about at most $1,000, I wouldn't even say that much, into everything he's done for this car to get it to where it is right now, and he could sell it for double that right now at least. So at the end of the day, another thing that you want to consider is, am I going to be losing money on this? Is this something that I'm going to buy, and for some reason if I need to sell it 2 months down the road, am I going to take a huge loss on this financially? So that all goes back to the other 2 videos, just kind of, you know, thinking about it clearly, being able to not let your mind and heart persuade you too much. I mean, you got to look at it as a car, not as like something that you love. I know it's hard to do sometimes, especially when you see something that you've wanted for such a long time, but you just got to be patient. And if the deal's not there, then don't take it. So at this point, I feel like I have completely rambled on. There are some other great negotiation tips out there as well. I'm sure that you guys have used some in your car buying experiences. Please leave those all down below in the comments. I'd love to know what other tips and tricks you guys have to share. That's going to wrap up this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.